In this video, I will discuss about the general principles of effective communication, principles of effective oral and written communication, and the ethics of communication. First, I will discuss the general principles of effective communication. Since communication is a two-way process, it is important that you know the principles to be observed to make it effective. For both oral and written communication, you should be able to apply the following principles. First is to know your purpose in communicating. Are you communicating basically to inform, to entertain, or to persuade? While you may have more than one purpose, there is still a more dominant objective or reason why you communicate. Next is to know your audience. In both speaking and writing, you should know your audience as it will dictate the speaking or writing style you are going to employ. Consider the age, educational background, profession, culture, and other salient features of your listeners or readers. Next is to know your topic. You communicate essentially because you want to share something. In speaking situations, speakers are invited because they have something to share. This also applies to writing. You write because you wish that other people learn something from you. You may then utilize several or multiple communication techniques to easily catch the attention of the audience or the readers. Next is to adjust your speech or writing to the context of the situation. So the environment in which your speech or writing is to be delivered determines the kind of language you will use. And lastly, is to work on the feedback given on you. Once you receive comments from the listeners or readers, work on them. Take kindly to criticisms. In the long run, constructive criticisms will prove beneficial to you as you learn to address them. So, those are the 5 general principles of effective communication. Next, let us discuss about the principles of effective oral communication. First is to be clear with your purpose. So you should know by heart your objective in communicating. Is it to inform, to entertain, or to persuade? Next is to be complete with the message you deliver. Make sure that your claims are supported by facts and essential information. Next, be concise. So you do not need to be verbose or wordy with your statements. Brevity in speech is a must. Next is to be natural with your delivery. So you should punctuate important words with the appropriate gestures and movements. Exude a certain degree of confidence even if you do not feel confident enough. And lastly, is to be specific and timely with your feedback. So inputs are most helpful when provided on time. So those are the 5 principles of effective oral communication. Next, we have the principles of effective written communication or the 7 C's. So first is to be clear. Be clear about your message. Always be guided by your purpose in communicating. As I have said a while back, are you communicating to inform, to persuade, or to entertain? Next is to be concise. So you should always stick to the point and do not beat or run around the bush. Be brief by focusing on your main point. Next, be concrete. So you should support your claims with enough facts. Your readers will easily know if you are bluffing or deceiving them because there is nothing to substantiate your claims. Next is to be correct. It is important that you observe grammatical correctness in your writing. So you should always have time to revise and edit your work because even simple spelling errors may easily distract your readers. Next, be coherent. Your writing becomes coherent only when you convey a logical message. So the ideas should be connected to each other and related to the topic. You need to make sure that you observe a sound structure that will present a smooth flow of your ideas. So you can use transitional or cohesive devices so that the ideas cohere with one another. Next is to be complete. You should include all necessary and relevant information so that the audience will not be left wanting of any information. So always place yourself in the shoes of the audience who is always interested to receive new information. And the last C is be courteous. So the tone of your writing should be friendly. You should avoid any overtone or undertone or insinuation to eliminate confusion and misinterpretation. So those are the 7 C's principles of effective written communication. Lastly, we have the ethics of communication. Communication ethics emphasizes that morals influence the behavior of an individual, group, or organization, thereby affecting their communication. For instance, given the unethical communication practice of a certain company of concealing the non-remittance of deducted premiums for employees' salaries to the SSS or the Social Security System or the GSIS or Government Service Insurance Systems, in the case of government offices, the company's accountability to its employees is undoubtedly affected. Compare this situation with that of an organization that observes ethical practice and remits the employees' monthly contributions to the SSS or GSIS regularly. So it is important to note that one's behavior should be regulated by honesty, decency, truthfulness, sincerity, and moral uprightness. So we should be guided by the following to achieve ethical communication. First, establish an effective value system. So this value system that will pave the way for the development of your integrity as a person. So one's behavior and decision-making style affect, in turn, the operations of an organization. Next is to provide complete and accurate information. So whether it is needed or not, the data you provide should always be contextualized and correct. And lastly, disclose vital information adequately and appropriately. So you should never conceal or hide information that are necessary for the purposes of transparency. So those are the 3 ethics of communication. Observing a code of ethics is essential as it determines the kind of behavior that is proper and desirable over one that is displeasing and offensive. A code of ethics sets the standards to be observed by a person or a company that will create a good reputation or a positive image not only for an individual but also for the organization. It will therefore pave the way for the attainment of the desired results, leading to the success of an individual or the entire company. So success in decision making will likewise impact the company's reputation. So those are the general principles of effective communication, principles of effective oral and written communication, and the ethics of communication. Thank you for watching, and I hope you have learned something.